If I can have everyone's attention, we will begin our afternoon availability here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We welcome Carl Edwards, driver of the number 99 Fastenal Ford. Carl, you currently sit 11th in points. Midway through the season, kicking off the second half here at New Hampshire. Talk a little bit about being in the car here at New Hampshire this weekend.
We had a really good test up here with the Goodyear folks. I think the it goes without saying that we need to have a good solid run here. We had a good run last week. We dodged a lot of trouble, and we got a good finish. And if we could continue that here, possibly get a win, it would be huge. I mean, this track is big for us because it is it's the home of the Red Sox up here, and our partnership with Fenway Sports Group. That would be a huge honor to be able to win here for them. It's also really huge because Lennox is the sponsor of the race, and they do a lot with us and on our 99 car, and they work really closely with Fastenal to deliver a lot of great products to people all over the country. So this would be a great place to have a good run for us for a number of reasons.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions for Carl. We'll start in the back with Mike.
Mike Hembry, Speed.com. Are you at the point now in the sort of precarious situation you're in where you would make a move like you made at Kansas to try to win a race on the last lap?
Probably, yeah. I don't. I'd have to be careful with it, though. Whenever you go lunging out there and do things that are really risky, there's a reason people don't do a lot of that stuff. Is because there is a big potential for a downside. So I don't know. I think if we were close to a win here this weekend, it would be very, very hard not to really just go for it. I mean, we need a win bad, and but at the same time, we still have enough races that if we just run solidly, run like we know we can, I think we'll march into the top 10 on our own merit just at the points. So I'm not quite to that point yet, but ask me again at Richmond. I think we'll see what happens.
Okay, questions for Carl? All right, we'll take one right here and then go over to Nate.
Carl, Drew Bonifant with the Concord Monitor. Just with the way Tony's year went last year, he was 11th going into this race before he caught fire there. Does that do anything to help your resolve and resolve other people on the chase bubble going forward, just seeing that it's been done before?
I think so. I think that whole 14 team, what they did last year, showed all of us that it's not over till it's over. I mean, if you can make it into the chase, you truly, just by making it in, you have as good a shot as anyone at the championship. None of this stuff right now matters other than it puts you in the chase, or it doesn't. So I think that's a really good point you bring up. I think all of us in the garage look at what Tony and that 14 team did last year, and we know that we all feel like we could do the same thing. We just need that opportunity, and that's where our team is right now. It's not where we expect it to be, but it's where we're at, and hopefully we can do as well as those guys did.
Go ahead with your question, Nate.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Carl, your reaction to the A.J. Allmendinger test. I know there's been talk this week about supplements, and he made reference to that in his statement. I guess maybe just your overall reaction to it and how you feel about the testing policy. And have you ever had an instance where you've had an A sample or anything like that that needed to be cleared up in any way?
No, I've never had any, positive tests or anything like that. I thought pretty hard about that. I think we're all kind of in a position where if there's a I mean, let's just be honest. It's an imperfect world. People are imperfect. Tests are imperfect. The people who make different products sometimes use factories that, one of the first things my trainer told me when he started working with me is he said, be careful. Anything you ingest is made somewhere, and you don't know what that factory was making the day before it made the product that you're using. So, even if it's just like a whey protein powder or something like that, you have to really watch what you ingest. But my point is that I think that that until the drivers, this is just my theory, I think the drivers need to get together and we need to have our own group that is paid by us, that works for us, to be here in tandem with the NASCAR drug testers, test us at the same time, so that we have two, not just an A and B sample, but an A and B testing facility, and we can all agree on that facility. It's no big deal. I don't think it would be a contentious thing. I think that would remove almost all doubt in any situation of a positive test. if a driver had someone that they could go to and say, hey, look, this is my representative. They tested at the same time on the same day, and we have, you know, this result. If the results are the same, obviously, I think we'd all agree that it was a positive, and if they're different, then I think it would give just give a different perspective. But I think until we do that, I think no matter what is found to be positive, no matter what the test results are, there's always going to be that little question of, hey, maybe there was a mistake.
Is there any discussion of that?
I don't know. I think that was brought up by someone early on in this testing stuff with the testing policy. But I don't know that there's been any more serious discussion. And that's just something I thought of a little bit this week. You know, because really at the end of the day, what does a guy that doesn't drink, use any drugs, you know, have any chance of being in violation? What does that guy really have to gain by subjecting himself to these tests? He has the potential that's real in the world, because it's an imperfect world, of having some sort of false positive or having something happen. And I think that's really scary for a lot of the guys in the sport when you go in there and subject yourself to that.
Okay, we'll take Don, Claire, and then Lee.
Carl, Don Coble over here with the Times Union. Kind of a spinoff on Mike's question. Your position with 8 races left, are you looking at it as being 11th? You could go either way. You could try to get in as 10th or as a wild card. So
Yeah.
Does that kind of temper? Are you thinking points? Are you thinking wins? Or
If we were 15th or 16th or 18th in points, it would be 100% just what Mike was saying. We'd be going all out, you know, no tires on the pit stop, blocking, bouncing the thing off walls, doing everything we could to win races. But like you said, we're in a position where we could earn our way in on points and just good solid runs. And so, you know, we'd like to do it both ways. We'd like to just go out here and dominate a race or two, march into top 7 or 8 in points, have a couple wins, and not have to worry about it. But you know, until that point, we'll go do the best we can, score all the points we can, and take chances if they, you know, if they're right there in front of us. You know, if I see something that I could do, you know, that would get us that win, then I'll do it.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Claire, then come back up to Lee.
Claire Beeling, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. How important is qualifying for you here? Is it true you were telling your group today,
Yeah.
we're doing only qualifying runs, we have got to qualify well?
Yes, qualifying here it's hugely important. I mean, we saw what some guys did in the last race with pit strategy. They were, you know, take 2 tires, no tires. They'd stay out there on the track and work themselves to the front, but everyone is going to do that. Everyone is going to be pulling out all the stops, you know, doing every strategy trick they can. And I think that having a good pit stall will be important. Starting up front, having clean air. If there's a long green flag run, you don't want to be mired in the back, going a lap down. I mean, all that stuff comes from a good qualifying effort. Greg Biffle was, I think, second fastest there. We're going to throw his, his setup was just a little different than ours, not very much. So we're going to put his setup in and just go for it. We get 2 laps. I think both laps should be pretty fast, so you almost get 2 cracks at it here. Did you do most of qualifying? Yeah, we did all qualifying. It's never good when people ask, did you do all qualifying runs, because that means you were slow enough to, there's nothing worse than people will come over, man, you still in race trim? No. That's as fast as we can go.
You can go ahead with your question, Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. To kind of follow up on Nate's questioning, have you gone over your representation, whether it's your manager, Jack, Steve, whoever, that for whatever reason, if you got that call, what procedures would you follow immediately? I mean, do you have like a, you know, I mean, obviously it probably would never happen, but if it does, do you know what emergency steps you take?
No, I don't. That's a really good question. I trust that NASCAR is doing the very best they can. I trust that Aegis group is doing the best they can. But I do think that what I know about AJ's situation right now, I think that spurs all of us to think about what you're asking. Do we have a plan in place? God forbid there was some mistake or something happened. And I mean, I don't have a plan in place. I don't know what I'd do other than throw my hands up and say I swear. And that really probably doesn't do much for you. So I guess it would be prudent for us to come up with a plan.
The second part of my question is, he was tested on Friday. You raced with him on Saturday night.
Right.
You didn't know at that point that he was positive, negative, probably didn't even know he had a P test. So, you know, then they told him on Saturday, well, he had practiced out there with you on Friday. He had qualified the car. I mean, is there any fail-safe way that if something happens and for whatever reason it is positive, you know, because of the time that we're looking at, to stop anything potential from happening down the road?
I think your question would, for me to answer that, it would have to imply that I actually have a concern that, you know, there's some risk or something. I really don't. I feel like.
I just mean in general. I'm not pointing to him.
Yeah.
You know, just in general, that a person, it would take that long to identify the situation, but that guy would still be out on the track.
Yeah, it's an imperfect world, and I think that if you, I don't think you'll ever know the people's state of mind, whether it's you know, due to some, you know, just problem they have personally, or if it's drugs or lack of sleep, or, I mean, you can't ever guard against someone not being at their best, even yourself. So I'll say it this way, I've never got in the race car or been in a race and gone, man, I'm really nervous around this particular person. I mean, I guess I have a little bit, but sometimes I know they're nervous about me, but that's really not, I don't think, at the forefront of all of our minds. I think what NASCAR is doing is very admirable. They're trying to keep our sport as clean as possible, trying to do it the best way. But boy, you know, when you look at a sport as complex as ours, you know, when you start dealing with chemistry and, you know, the chain of possession, you know, when you walk into the testing area, I mean, I did it last week at Daytona. You walk in there and there's all these cups sitting there. I don't know where they've been, who's been in there, who's messed with them, what's going on. I don't know where they go after that. I don't know. It's just, I think if there's one more layer that we could put on it, and that would, in my opinion, it would be a group that is paid for by the drivers. I think that just be the best thing that you could do. I think you don't stop testing people, and man, you don't. It's just like our judicial system. You don't want to convict a guy of something he didn't do. I think that's about as bad as it could be. So, you know, I think it's a tough subject.
Okay, we'll take our next question right here from the back.
Paul Sherry, Monadnock Radio Group. Carl, you have, at least in Cup racing, have not been particularly successful here. Any one reason why you can put your finger on as to why this track seems to elude you?
It's a really good question. We have had some races here that have been very good. We've won in the Nationwide Series. We run really well in the Truck Series. I can't remember if we won a race or not. I think we've been very close. The Cup Series, we've had a couple runs where we unloaded. At one time, we had the baseball, the Boston Red Sox car painted like a baseball. It was screaming fast. Everything was going great, and we had the thing fell off the jack on pit road and took us 3 laps to get it back up in the air. And then there have been races that we just struggle, and I truly don't know what the issue is. I don't understand how a track that's so outwardly simple, it's just a simple oval, and we've got good race cars. I feel like I know how to go around an oval. And some of these days we're here just struggling. So if you see anything, let me know. All right.
Go ahead, Mike.
I know you'll be honest with me at least.
Hi, Mike Harris, RacingToday.com. Carl, this is kind of off the beaten track, but this will be the first year that you haven't gone up to Montreal for the nationwide race up there.
Is that this weekend?
No, it's a few weeks. It's a few weeks off, but just
think before you speak.
If you can look at, talk about that race a little bit, what it's like, and if you're going to miss being up there. I
will miss going to Montreal. That's really fun. I know a lot of you guys have been up there to Montreal, and it's a really neat town, city. The racetrack is a lot of fun. That race with Marcus Ambrose, to me, that when the track was wet and it was drying up, and we got him in the last corner. That was one of the greatest races I've been a part of, and one of the biggest feelings of the greatest victories I've had, and I really enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed the international flavor of that race. It's so cool to meet the fans. I mean, they're singing songs and going crazy, and it seemed like they really have a good time up there. So I don't think that I'll never race there again. I think there'll be a time when I go back up there and run that race. I don't know when, but that would definitely be on my list of races I want to do again.
Any other questions for Carl? All right, Carl, thank you very much for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.